Kurt Warner got a rude welcome to Arrowhead Stadium in the Interstate 80 Bowl. The Chiefs' James Hasty intercepted Warner's first pass and ran it back to set up the game's first score. Chiefs rookie Frank Moreau plowed in from 2 yards out. Kansas City led 7-0. Then with the Chiefs up 13-0, Mike Cloud blocked Jeff Wilkins' punt. Cloud chased it into the end zone, picked it up, and it was 20-0 Chiefs, and we're still in the first quarter. After a St. Louis touchdown, Elvis Gerback hit Tony Gonzalez from 9 yards out. The Chiefs were back on top by 20. But Kurt Warner struck back with under a minute to go in the half. A perfect pass to Torrey Holt, 18 yards, 27-14 Chiefs at the half. But Kansas City came out throwing in the third. Gerback to Derek Alexander makes it 34-14. And the Chiefs put Warner out of the game with a broken finger. Trent Green came in, picked up right where Warner left off. 32 yards to big Roland Williams, 34-21, Chiefs up. Green hit again, this one to Isaac Bruce, but by now the Chiefs had 40 on the board. And when Kimball Anders got his second touchdown, it made it 47-28. The game ended 54-34. What did the Rams do wrong?
I'm not sure that we did a real good job on either side of the ball preparing for this game from an X&O standpoint. I'm a little disappointed in that.
The mindset going into the game that whatever we had to do for 4 quarters, we had to score as many points as we could.
I liked the way we played football on defense. We went after them. People said you can't blitz them. We said the hell with them. We're going to blitz them anyway.
Those blitzes produced 5 sacks and 3 interceptions. Warner's out 4 to 6 weeks. Dan Marino's season passing record is safe. Doug Flutie was back at quarterback for the Bills in Minnesota. He hit Eric Moulds for a 25-yard touchdown and a 7-3 Bills lead. Chris Carter couldn't have been more alone if he was chairman of the Dennis Miller fan club. Vikings up 14-10. Rookie Sammy Morris is turning into a weapon for the Bills. He goes up and over for 1 touchdown and then gets a second score on an 18-yard touchdown pass from Flutie, and that put the Bills up 24-13 in the 4th quarter. But the Vikings were undaunted. Culpepper to Carter, 11 yards for the touchdown. And then Dante unloads 39 yards to a wide-open Randy Moss, who keeps his feet in and gives the Vikings a 27-24 lead. Gary Anderson's 21-yard field goal not only sealed the win, but gave Anderson the all-time NFL scoring record. 2,004 points, beating George Blanda's once unbreakable mark, and Anderson was happy with the script.
It couldn't have happened in a more special way. You know, about halfway through the 4th quarter there, when we were down by 13, it didn't look like a field goal was going to help us any, and I think it was just indicative of how our teams played all year, and we found a way to get it done. And then for me personally, to get an opportunity to kick a field goal at the end in front of our home crowd, and in that kind of setting at the end of the game, it was I couldn't have written it in a better way myself.
Between Moulds, Moss, and Carter, some big receiving numbers on show. Flutie, a big game in his first start. Culpepper has won his first 7 NFL starts. In Jacksonville, rookie R.J. Soward put on a show of his own, but it was mostly comedy. He'd already dropped 1 pass when he pinballed that one to Deion Sanders. The interception led to a Stephen Davis touchdown. That put the Redskins up 7-0. Soward made amends briefly by toasting Neon Deion for a 33-yard touchdown and a 10-3 Jags lead. But Soward fumbled a punt, and Washington was back on the board. Albert Connell from Brad Johnson for the score. Johnson with lots of time and a perfect pass to find Connell open. Then after Soward dropped an easy touchdown pass in the end zone, Connell struck again. Last week he dropped every ball Johnson threw. This week it's 49 for the score. That turned the Jags into tabbies, and Connell wasn't finished. 77 yards from Johnson, Connell's 3rd touchdown of the game. What a difference a week makes. Connell had 7 catches, 211 yards. No face mask taunting penalty for James Thrash. Fred Taylor was back in gear, 22 for 124 for the Jags, but Davis had 114 on the ground for the Skins.
And the Jags coach, Tom Coughlin, said...
In Indianapolis, Drew Bledsoe hit rookie J.R. Redmond, who follows his blocking and bumps in the Pats into a 7-0 lead. But Marvin Harrison ran through the Pats secondary like a hippie at a young Tory convention. 51 yards from Peyton Manning, 7-7. The Pats were controlling the ball on the ground and led 16-7, but 78 yards as Harrison vetoed a Smith like a rug, and that makes it 16-14. Patriots up by 2. Pats struck back, Bledsoe barely sneaking over, 23-14 New England, but it's a game of inches. Watch as Manning gets the shovel pass away. Edgerrin James beats Teddy Bruschi's tackle, 23-21. And then James puts the Colts ahead for good, 28-23 on that run. The game ended 30-23. The Patriots controlled the ball for over 39 minutes behind 97 yards on the ground from the rookie Redmond, but Manning, James, and Harrison had their usual big days and big plays. In Baltimore, the Ravens had 2 field goals on the board before Steve McNair scrambled and found Rodney Thomas for a 7-6 Titans lead. Thomas replaced the injured Eddie George. Randall Godfrey made a withdrawal from Tony Banks, taking the interception back 24 yards for a score. That's all the points that mattered. The Titans went on to win 14-6. Baltimore's last touchdown was scored on September 27th. They had 8 penalties, 5 sacks, and 4 interceptions. In Pittsburgh, Jackie Wilson said it was Hank Poteet, and the Steeler rookie returned a punt 54 yards to set up the game's only touchdown. The Buffs rolled in from a yard out, and the Steelers led the Browns 10-0. Doug Peterson is playing quarterback for Cleveland in lieu of the injured Tim Couch, but he was intercepted 3 times. That one by Chad Scott led to the second of 5 field goals by downtown Chris Brown. This was the game's pattern. Peterson passes, Pittsburgh picks. This time it's Dwayne Washington with the interception. That led to another Chris Brown field goal, and the game ended with the score 22-0 Steelers. The Cleveland Browns didn't cross midfield until a kickoff return in the 4th quarter. Peterson's stats, a terrible 61 yards passing. In Oakland, the slumping Seahawks ran into Rich Gannon and Tim Brown, 16 yards for a go-ahead touchdown. And then a carbon copy, 9 yards to put Oakland up 14-3 in the 2nd quarter. Watch Tyrone Wheatley explode past Seattle. Willie Williams gets whiplash watching Wheatley whiz by, and then Wheatley nearly gets whiplash himself trying to shake Sean Springs off his neck. 21-3 Raiders at the half. Tyrone can't dunk like Tony Gonzalez, but maybe the Raiders fans will let John Gruden take off that bulletproof vest. Second half, James Jett, 23 yards from Rich Gannon. That's all it took for Oakland. The game ended 31-3. Wheatley, 156 on 15 carries. Both Brock Heward and John Kitna had concussions. Mike Holmgren only looks like he's got one. In Cincinnati, Brian Griese hit Detron Smith for a touchdown to put Denver up 7-0, and you might be forgiven for thinking it was Bengal ball at its worst. Mike Anderson had the Broncos up 14-3, but after Anderson's score, their foot slipped off the gas and someone pressed the Bengals pedal right down to the metal. Rookie Peter Warrick cuts back when the sweep breaks down, and he heads off 77 yards for a touchdown that pulled the Bengals back to within 14-10. And picks up some great downfield blocking. Then Brandon Bennett breaks back. And he also breaks Billy Jenkins' tackle, and the Bengals are actually in the lead, 17-14. Even Romo's late hit can't stop that. Scott Mitchell completes a handoff to Corey Dillon, and Dillon goes 65 yards untouched. The Bengals are up 24-14 in the fourth quarter. Bring out the oxygen masks. Brian Greasy struck back 28 yards to Rod Smith, who makes a great catch, and it's a 3-point game. But then Corey Dillon, on his way to a new NFL single-game rushing record, goes 41 yards to give the Bengals a 31-21 win. Dillon's 278 breaks Walter Payton's record, and as Melissa Stark might ask, how did it feel, Corey?
I'm still in shock. I still don't believe it. I mean, from how I was running, it didn't seem like I had that many yards, and I was just out there just trying to get 4 yards, and, you know, the offensive line was doing an excellent job, and the defense was fast flowing. It was over pursuing in some cases, and they gave me some opportunities to cut it back, and when I cut it back, I just tried to make a big play and ended up with 278.
Which beat Walter Payton by 3. Achilles Smith was injured. Scott Mitchell had no passes or handoffs intercepted. Mike Shanahan called emergency tackling practice on the airplane back to Denver.
Yeah, more on the Bengals in a minute. God bless them.
Thursday night in Tampa, the Bucs missed a golden chance when rookie Nate Webster blocked a James Jett punt. Rondé Barber couldn't handle it. John McLaughlin's going to miss it as well, and finally Jett falls on it for a safety. The Bucs only get 2 points instead of 7. Down 11-3, James Stewart scored in the final minute of the first half. Stewart would add a 2-point conversion himself, and all of a sudden the game was tied at 11. It was Stewart again, 4 yards for this TD. The Lions go up for the first time, 18-14. Thanks to Stewart, the Lions controlled the ball most of the game. He had 116 on the day. And that run led to Stewart's 3rd touchdown of the day. Little man brings it in from 3 yards out. Detroit wins 28-14. The Bucs D wasted 7 sacks, a blocked punt, and a field goal. Sean King threw 2 interceptions. They've had 12 turnovers in the 4-game losing streak. In Philadelphia, the Bears were down 3-0 when Cade McNown scrambled and got dumped by Mike Caldwell. McNown suffered a separated shoulder. He'll sit out the Bears' bye week next week, and then they'll see if he's ready to go. The Eagles member of the class of '99 is Donovan McNabb, and Donovan McNabb was in better form. He scrambles and then throws 20 yards to Charles Johnson. And that set up a 3-yard touchdown pass to Jeff Thomason. The Eagles led 10-0 at the half. It finished 13-9. Former Berlin kicker David Akers got 2 field goals for the Eagles. Former Frankfurt quarterback Jim Miller could only lead the Bears to 3 field goals in the second half. In Dallas, Wayne McGarrity's 59-yard punt return gave the Cowboys a 14-0 first quarter lead over the fast floundering Arizona Cardinals. Watch running back Chris Warren follow Larry Allen's block. Warren breaks 3 tackles on his way to a 32-yard touchdown run that put the Cowboys up 21-zip. Troy Aikman's getting back to pre-concussion form. He hits Rocket Ismail, just like the old days, 24 yards. Cowboys up 34-0. Then Chris Warren again. The Cardinals were tackling like budgies as Dallas went up 41-zip. And even when Pat Tillman thought he'd tackled Robert Thomas, he hadn't. Cowboys win 48-7. Troy Aikman happy with the result.
I've got confidence in my abilities and what I can do. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and this past week was difficult. But anybody who's played this position has been through those times, and you just try to fight through it as best you can and put it out of your mind. And as far as my teammates, I think that I believe that I've always had the respect of my teammates, those that I've played with and those that I've played with over the years, and I don't think that's wavered. But like anything, when you're struggling and not getting your job done, then I think confidence sometimes starts to lack. But this was a big win for us as a football team more than it was for me personally.
Aikman was 9 for 15 with 2 TDs. Smith and Warren combined for 176 yards on the ground. Arizona had only 99 yards offense in the first 3 quarters. The Saints went marching into Atlanta, and Ricky Williams marched them into a 7-3 lead over the Falcons. But Chris Chandler hit Tim Dwight for 52 yards, and the Falcons were back on top 13-7 at halftime. Second half, Ricky Williams' 26-yard run puts the Saints back in the lead. Ricky's flying this time. Williams had 156 yards rushing on the day, his 5th straight 100-yard game, and Coach Ditka's looking smarter than ever. Ricky's 3rd touchdown of the day put the Saints up 21-13, but on a quick snap play, Chris Chandler hit Terrence Mathis with a 33-yard touchdown. That had the Falcons within 2. They needed the 2-point conversion. But watch Sammy Knight. He knocks the ball away from Reggie Kelly, and Jim Haslett's team is now 4-3. Again, the Saints' D was big. They sacked Chandler 7 times. Leroy Glover got 2 of those sacks. In Carolina, Isaac Bird's 3-yard touchdown put the Panthers up over the 49ers, and Isaac has his own private Dirty Bird. Jeff Garcia to Terrell Owens. The extra point failed, but the touchdown was good, and the Panthers led 7-6. Nice play action now. Burline to Biaka Batuka. Panthers up 14-6. Jeff Garcia's interception-free streak ended when Mike Minter picked him off. Minter returns it 30 yards for a touchdown, and Carolina's in the lead 21-6. But Garcia struck back. He finds Jerry Rice in the end zone, make it 21-13. It was 24-13 at the half. Second half, pronunciation nightmare, deja vu. Steve Burline to Tim Biaka Batuka, 31-13. It finished 34-16. Mushin Muhammad and Donald Hayes both over 100 yards receiving.
So you go, that's a roundup of week 8 for you. He's as head coach of Arizona Cardinals. Defensive coordinator Dave McGinnis has been named as the interim head coach.
And you remember Dave McGinnis was named and then unnamed head coach of the Chicago Bears. I mean, he's been head coach material for a while, but it's a shame because Vince Tobin looks like, Shrub Bush, and we've got Norv Turner looks like Al Gore, so we figured the 2 of them would